in regards to Kundalini experience. I've heard you talk about the higher bird brain and the reptilian brain and kind of the biochemical reaction happening in the body during Kundalini experience. And I was wondering if you could give a quick overview of that, how it's associated with the auric mechanics of Kundalini. So for anybody that may be having Kundalini experiences of some sort, to give them some scientific contextual understanding of what's happening and how to continue facilitating that experience.
Yeah, well, that's a story we've told quite a few times at goldenmean.info/Kundalini, the wave mechanics. You would feel, for example, frequently a kind of a burning in your tailbone, and as you relax, that phonon wave traverses the spine, and it's acting as a long wave phonon in phase with the low frequencies of breath and heart rate variability. And that's a pump, sacrocranial pump. And it is a wave guide for the very high microwave frequencies, which also measure Kundalini. And that arrives at the amygdala, the serpent's mouth, and the Sanchidan, which is the snake nectar, the stinging current, as the ultimate nutrient for the high brain. Now, what Bentoff, my mentor on Kundalini biophysics, stalking wild pendulum, measured was that that low frequency phonon of the spine liquid pumping, in training measurably the rotating liquids in the ventricle horns, and measured those frequencies as the ringing in the ear, which I hear quite often. And I joke that my partner can tell which ancestor is phoning by which ear is ringing, and knows them. And that's true. And that is both the high frequencies of the spine liquid pump component, ADP, and ancestral memory. It's both. It is the ringing in the blood, the song in the blood, Sangreal, the ringing in the ears, and it is ancestral memory because that's traveling on the wave of the longitudinal hairs. And so that ringing you hear in your ear eventually comes to focus that liquid rotating momentum of the ventricle horns right on the burning pineal. And so from horns that are here, and if you were clairvoyant a bit, which I'm not more clairaudient than clairvoyant, it's on my good days as it were, but you would see this, and these were, the horns of Moses or Lucifer or whatever. This is simply a map to engage Kundalini. And yes, it's wings, it's plasma wings, it's real, and it is propulsion, and it does work. And that then focuses on the burning pineal, and the pineal then can directly, and it's true that the top of my head got much more pointed and it gets hot. And my partner likes to feel a negative ion wind there. It's kind of a joke. But the fact is, I can see through the top of my head quite literally with my eyes closed. And when I lay on a ley line and close my eyes, the amount of light inside my head is almost blinding, frequently, often, which is good because I can ask any question and get an immediate answer, which is bad sometimes because it burns blood sugar incredibly rapidly at a hypermetabolic rate, and it stresses the mineral to water bonds, and even more challenge remaining hydrated and grounded. So hydration and grounding and remineralization are essential to avoid insanity during, there's that whole story. But yes, it's important physics. And it is the serpent brain, amygdala, feeding the bird brain. That metaphor works. And it is Quetzalcoatl returning, and Quetzalcoatl is really Hermes, and the symbol caduceus today is called phase conjugation. So yes, it's implosion.
I love that. So how do you practically connect that knowledge to sacred sexual practice? And what is the power of sexual communion, orgasm, and Tantra?
Essentially, the body is challenged to reach a critical mass of charge implosion. And that can be done with one person or two persons. If you have two persons with wonderful symmetry, you can do it much quicker with two because you get closer to critical mass faster. However, it's the old story, don't have sex with someone that you don't want to feel their memories for the rest of your life, because that's what embeddability is. Embeddability is more than Playboy magazine, it's mathematics. and so and you could even have a discussion about whether homosexuality was more conducive to, because now you can see that the challenge is simply that your aura, which is the part of you that's immortal, yearns to be plasma projected specifically to gain critical mass. And that's part of not just what sex is, but what all plasma projective shamanic work is. And so, yes, if they say you only fall in love with pure intention, what you really fall in love with is the unconscious or conscious knowledge that someone else's aura can add symmetry to yours and reach critical mass more quickly. Ultimately, the power is when you can do it yourself, really. But it's absolutely beautiful and fabulous to do with too, but it doesn't mean that you need to depend on it. The issue is ultimately that your aura is really saying to you that it knows that you are toast if you don't reach implosive critical mass. And that's as true at the moment of birth as it is at the moment of death. We know that death is literally a literal electrical black hole. And perfect Tantra and a perfect orgasm is the same thing. It's an implosive moment which projects a squirt of plasma. The squirt of plasma is even more important than the semen, actually, because that wants to inhabit a larger body. So if your body fluid and your plasma is inhabiting a cocoon that is going to grow, then is well invested. That's why they say you should really only fall in love with pure intention. Don't fall in love with a metal building and squirt your plasma into that because it's going to bleed charge. Well, it's obviously tricky, but the thing is, this is an ancient knowledge. For example, in the Grail times, it was known that the parents and grandparents would witness the first night of sexual intercourse because there would be better critical mass for plasma implosion. And all the extended family comes to be present for that. And the reason we all yearn for that moment of orgasm is because your whole extended genetic family comes to be present every time there's an orgasm, because your DNA is saying, well, are we going to grow up yet? You know, like, do we have a chance at getting immortal here? But if you keep wasting that, ultimately, it's like plumbing that's leaking. And Gurdjieff wrote about that very well, that sometimes you need orgasm because you just need a release. But in general, in the long run, you need orgasm because you need to find a way in which to make your plasma grow to become immortalizing. And that's why it's so tragic for young people if the aura leaks too soon, because it doesn't build up the compression needed to break through to the higher plane.